Hey, good kind people, what is going on? Lee Sanders here. You're checking out a new RCWR show for a somber Friday night, August 6, 2021. Yeah, it is somber, man. I'm telling you, we were just here a couple of hours ago, and I did a new NWA Power Reaction Edition episode. It was about 25 minutes long. You guys are more than welcome to go check that out after this. And remember how I was feeling if you had checked out that post show. I had the energy. I was just up and at 'em, feeling all good. Was wishing you all a happy TGIF and everything. I said, hey, we got Smackdown. And I told you guys, and we're still gonna pretty much have it be an open forum tonight, because the initial plan for this show was to talk about Smackdown. Again, I'm just laying out the original blueprint for this show tonight. We're going to talk about Smackdown, and then any wrestling related questions, non-wrestling related questions you wanted to throw at me, you were able to do so. We were even going to open up the phone lines, and we're like, okay, about a 90-minute show, we should be in and out, bada bing, bada boom. Well, did we get hit with some doozies tonight during Smackdown? Because, gotta be honest, this Smackdown, let's not bullshit ourselves. This Smackdown, maybe two highlights out of the whole 2-hour show, but it was dragging. It was dragging, as the way some of you guys dubbed it tonight, Smackdown was really coming off like WWE Raw Light. Hey, you ain't gonna get no argument out of me. But this Smackdown was greatly overshadowed by the number of WWE releases that came about while the show was on. In all my years that I have been doing podcasting, and I've been doing this since 2011, and all my years of doing this show, all my years of coming on live after a pay-per-view, coming on live primarily after WWE Raw, coming on live after some type of a special show event, I have never in my broadcasting career so far came across a scenario quite like this, where as you're watching a show, you're hearing about a boatload of releases that's transpiring as you're watching your show, like in real time. Crazy. Just crazy. So, you know, we'll still look. I definitely want to know what you guys have to say. So you guys that want to sound off about these releases that came about, or you still want to pick my brain on some wrestling, non-wrestling related stuff, you can definitely post something in the chat, or if you like, I will definitely open up the phone lines a little later, give you guys an opportunity to call in and everything. But look, Smackdown, as far as we can get to that, we got plenty of time to talk about Smackdown. Okay, it really ain't that much to talk about with Smackdown either, because again, there was only like 2 highlights. We need to talk about these releases that came about, because this is just, and once again, it brought up the question, and I was even directly asked this question by one of the listeners, which was, Lee, are you sure that WWE isn't preparing themselves here for maybe an eventual sale? Because, man, just what's going on here, man, you just can't help but wonder. Short answer, no, I still do not feel that way. I think you guys will kind of appreciate some of the things that I have to say with regards to some of these releases, as far as how you should be looking at it, as far as, yeah, is the company being sold? What exactly is going on here? You'll appreciate what I have to say with my unique take on things. Let's not beat around the bush any longer. Let's talk about these goddamn releases. No particular order. I'm not showing any favoritism towards a particular talent. Just we're just going to tackle the names as it came. Mad shout out to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, because pretty much, and PW Insider was pretty much confirming. I mean, they both were confirming the same information that they were getting from their respective sources. But Sean Ross Sapp was the first one that I had saw, and I mean, he was just very quick, and he did his best to prepare people. He even went so far as to say, Guys, I'm not being hacked, just so you all know. This isn't a ruse. I'm really giving you guys this information in real time. This is me giving you this information. I'm not being hacked. And he talked about how this is one of the worst days that he's... And I got to tell you, it was like... The best analogy that I could use, it was almost as if you were going down a flight of stairs. You slipped and you fell. And if you're lucky, when you have that slip and fall, you go, oh, well, you know, not for nothing, I was able to catch myself, but I did kind of sprain myself a little bit, but I was able to catch myself, okay? These WWE releases, just thinking about that same analogy that I just put out there for you guys, it was literally a slip. You're trying to catch yourself. You're still losing control. You lose your balance, and then you just keep tumbling down those stairs. And just when you think the injury has sufficed, enough damage has been done to you, you've taken all the blows that needed to be taken. Wait, there's even more. It was kind of like one of those type of deals, man. It's like just damaging the wound, just expanding upon that wound even more. Just ridiculous. Just ridiculous seeing the amount of names that were just coming within seconds apart from each other. You're watching this and you're just saying, Jesus Christ, please, please make this stop. Crazy, crazy. No particular order. Tyler Russ, 34-year-old Tyler Russ. You know, if you know your independent wrestling, you know this guy from, you know, mainly like PWG, Ring of Honor, New Japan, you know, pretty much tearing it up over there. Remember, this guy is now part of Diamond Mine, or he was part of Diamond Mine. You know, and you look at him, great unique look to him, for sure. Definitely a great unique look to him. You know, and you saw that there was kind of something there. You couldn't quite put your finger on it, but you were definitely left feeling very intrigued as far as his in-ring stuff. I mean, not, you know, just from what I saw of him, at least in the WWE bubble, not really. I mean, you ask me personally, I've seen some of his stuff on the independents, and comparing some of the stuff on the independents to what I had saw of him in the WWE, my 2 cents from a distance, to each its own. We may differ on this, but I felt that there was a little bit of restriction on the guy, so to speak. That's just my personal takeaway. But again, based off what I've seen of him on the independents, I just felt he was a little bit hindered in the WWE system, which is kind of weird considering he's pretty much going through the NXT route and everything. But 34-year-old Tyler Russ, he was released from WWE today. Crazy. And this is a guy that has spent a couple of years, up in the Northeast area there for the Empire Wrestling Federation. He, you know, off and on did quite a lot of stuff for that promotion from the early 2000s right on up until 2020. He did work for them and everything. This isn't his first rodeo with the WWE too, mind you. I mean, you got to go to the mid to late 2000s. He did sporadic appearances for the WWE as well and everything. So, you know, for me, seeing what was going on with him in Diamond Mine, I'm not going to lie to you guys. Last thing I'm going to do is lie to you guys. I have been on this show on an almost weekly basis saying to you guys, hey, you know what? I'm not really feeling this whole Diamond Mine thing is just not going over with me. A lot of us had so much high expectations for Diamond Mine. Not high expectations from the standpoint of, well, it's got to be as good as the Nexus, or it's got to be, you know, when we first looked at this whole Diamond Mine thing, we're going, okay, so this is some type of a MMA fighting type of what's going on here. You know, the curiosity was there, and you just kind of felt, maybe this kind of seems like maybe it would have a lot of potential in going over. Lord knows, we saw the horrific Raw Underground segment that, yeah, that went over pretty damn well, right? Then just one day it disappeared. We ain't get no notice or nothing, and it hasn't been back since, right? So now we see this stuff that's going on here with Diamond Mine, and we're going, okay, well, you know what? If there is any time where something might have some potential here and going over, well, you know, this Diamond Mine, it has a shot. NXT has delivered some pretty nice gems over the years. Okay, let's kick back and let's see what's going on here. I mean, there were so many interesting reports that were floating around as far as what exactly was going on with Diamond Mine. Some people felt that maybe it was a rogue group of former MMA fighters that decided they were going to make their hand in the world of pro wrestling. They were going to lay their claim into the world of pro wrestling. Some people felt that, well, maybe this is some type of a sign in regards to CM Punk. Maybe CM Punk is going to have something to do with Diamond Mine here. Other people even thought that maybe the whole Diamond Mine had something to do with Tessa Blanchard. And it was amazing how I got to really make sure I set that up properly for you guys, because just the way that a lot of our brains were in gears trying to figure out, okay, what's going on here. And then when we finally got the end result of Diamond Mine, we finally got to see what it was all about. A lot of us really were not feeling it. A lot of us were greatly disappointed. We felt that it was very flat upon delivery. And the best analogy to use without being too long-winded, it'd be no different than you got a taste for pizza. You got a taste for pizza. Okay, what are you going to go with? You're going to go with Geno's? You're going to go with Domino's? You're going to go with Papa John's? You're going to go with, home run pizza? Insert. And then once you've made up your mind who you're going to go with for that pizza pie, the anticipation, the excitement, the flavor and the texture and the crust, the sauce, all of that, you're building it up in your head, you're anticipating it. Then when you finally get that pizza turns out to be a big old pile of cold, nasty shit. And you can make an argument that essentially that's what happened with Diamond Mine when it was finally given to us on a silver platter. Flat from the start, and the further we went into the weeks watching it, so you ask me straight up, hey, was it the correct proper utilization of a guy like Tyler Russ? No. 1000% no. Did that warrant he should have been released from the company? I don't really think so. I don't really think so. I mean, look, not for nothing. Late December of last year was when he reported to the Performance Center and everything. And then pretty much within a very short time span, he went up to the NXT roster and everything, and pretty much had some sporadic appearances here and there. But, really things didn't go until this whole Diamond Mine thing. And that experiment pretty much was over just after, really a handful of weeks when you stop and think about it. So, look, for all we know, maybe the proper people in WWE kind of really took a step back, looked at a guy like Tyler Russ and said to themselves, so what exactly what's the plans here with this guy? What do we see ourselves doing with this guy 90 days from now? 6 months from now, what are we really talking here? And for all we know, they might have just said, nah, you know what? It's better to go on ahead, cut this cat. There's other folks that maybe we can kind of look at and maybe consider filling in that spot and everything. So kind of have that going in the back of your mind. Let's move along because we got even more names to be talking about. Again, in no specific order. Next guy that was released tonight. All these names I'm talking about too, all of these names were revealed to be released while Smackdown was on. Talk about the weirdest fucking time. It'd be one thing if nah, man, the names were released earlier in the day. No, No, not like that at all. And I have a lot to say about the fact that the names were released while SmackDown was on. I got a lot to say about that, so you'll appreciate that. We'll get to that later on in the show. Kona Reeves, 30-year-old Kona Reeves from Florida, was released. I thought the young man had an impressive, size about him. Very interesting. I'm not really sure how to feel about this particular release. I got to be honest with you guys. Here's a guy that's pretty much been on the independents since, late 2000s, basically, like about 2012, 2013. He pretty much was on the independents. And then he came to WWE. He's been in WWE, not for nothing. He's been in WWE for a good minute. I don't know if you guys really realize that, but in the case of Kona Reeves, he's been in WWE since about 2014, 2015. Okay, so I know that some of you guys may be a little bit upset by this release. Me personally, I thought he had a great size about him. I thought he had a great look about him. I thought he was really beginning to flush out his personality. Me personally, I really did. I felt he was really starting to flush it out. And the little opportunities that he was given, I kind of felt that he was promising. I remember there was one joint there where he did something with Andrade Cien Almas, Ty Dillinger. I remember there was some type of a mix-up he had going on with them. He also had cross paths with Sanity. I remember that. So those are just some of the things that kind of come into mind, instantly right now. But man, oh yeah, and then when he was starting to call himself the finest, Kona Reeves, so he kind of had this whole little showboating thing that was going on about him and everything. So, sporadic appearances over the next couple of years, however, nothing really on a consistent basis, sadly. So, for him to get released, kind of sucks. It does, especially when you can make an argument, well, not for nothing, but definitely saw a lot of, potential in this young man. And I did research on him just to look at his match history, try to get an idea, as far as, okay, yeah, when was the last time we saw this guy? Peep this. The last time this guy was like involved in any type of in-ring action, you had to go back to February of last year. NXT television. That was the very last time he did anything, because when you go back to 2020, he was doing sporadic appearances all on NXT. He was doing a bunch of house shows. He even did a couple of dark matches and all that. He made TV a couple of times, right? But think about that, man, since February of 2020, right? So, I know a lot of people are going to be looking at some of these names and they're going to be up in arms. And, trust me, we haven't even begun to scratch the surface yet. But, in the case of a guy like Kona Reeves, you go, well, man, he ain't been doing nothing with him for like over a year. That is kind of, wasting time, resources, his time. When if he is still very passionate about continuing his craft, why not give him an opportunity to go and do it elsewhere, right? Right. So, it sucks that, it's kind of unfortunate, but I don't really think that's a name that, and this is no malice. This is no hate in any type of form being thrown towards Kona in any fashion, but I think majority can be in agreement. Now that I've really laid it out properly for you guys, I don't really see a lot of people that's going to be all up in arms over him being released. Now, let's go to our next one. Hale. Young man, made his in-ring debut like 2002, right? I mean, you look at this guy, great freaking physique. Great freaking physique. I mean, his abs got abs on top of abs. I mean, he's pretty well defined. Great kick-ass look about him. You know, he's kind of got a, you know, he's an interesting crossbreed, I would have to say. He's got like I'm trying to use the best analogy here. He's got a weird Conor McGregor, not the personality, I just mean the look, the overall presentation. He's got a Conor McGregor meets a really cool looking Tommy Hilfiger model, maybe meets Randy Orton. I think those of you that's pretty open-minded, you definitely would agree with some of those comparisons I just made of the guy. You all may not really know anything about Asher Hale. I don't really expect you to, because Asher Hale was pretty much tearing it up on 205. He mainly was on 205. So I don't expect you guys to know a lot about that young man. Some of the matches that he had, I looked up his match history. The last time he did something was July. He had faced Drake Maverick. He did appear on NXT. It was actually on TV. He did a match against Roderick Strong. So just, you know, maybe about, you could count him off your hand, the number of times that he did TV for NXT. But he mainly was doing 205. So this is kind of one of those, if you're not watching 205 on a regular basis, then this guy's name ain't going to mean jack shit to you whatsoever. Ain't going to mean jack shit to you whatsoever. Learning what I was able to learn, you know, about him and everything, because he signed to WWE. When was that? Give me a second here. Like about 2000, I want to say 2000, it kind of feels like maybe 2019 is when he signed to WWE, because I know before WWE, he was doing some stuff for Evolve. And before he was doing stuff with Evolve, he was doing stuff for the Atlanta Wrestling, I think, entertainment promotion. He was doing some stuff for them. So, you know, he's always been doing stuff on the indies before coming to the WWE. But I want to say he even did some stuff for Full Pro Impact. He even did some stuff for Full Pro Impact. I don't think he did anything for WWE until about, feels like 2000. I wouldn't be surprised if you told me he started in 2021 is maybe when he did some stuff officially for WWE, right? So, I mean, that was a real quick cup of coffee, a little bit of stuff I've seen of him online from the other promotions. He looks pretty promising, I think. I think that's a guy you definitely should continue to watch, for sure. He's a guy you definitely want to continue to watch. I see him definitely doing some big things. I don't know how big he can, but just the vibe I get, and I'm usually a pretty good judge of character on folks. I don't think you've heard the last of this guy. I don't think this is one of those kind of guys that's gonna go quietly into the night. You feel where I'm coming from? And you never hear from them again, and then 10-15 years down the road you wonder what the hell exactly happened to blah 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 blah. I don't think he's going to be one of those type of guys. Next up, Giant Sanjir. And again, just to recap for you guys, all these names that I'm mentioning that were released today, these were names that were released in real time while SmackDown was on. And they were just coming boom, 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 boom. All right, Giant Sanjir, this is probably a guy, again, most people aren't really going to know about. And I'll be straight up candid. This name is probably one a lot of people don't give two shits about. And I would not blame you whatsoever. This guy had trained with the great Khali. He trained under his school and everything. Other than that, he did participate in a couple of WWE events. But yeah, outside of that, just from what I was able to, research on him and everything, kind of relatively quiet, kind of relatively quiet. I believe he did some stuff overseas, like when it came to the Saudi Arabia stuff, India shows and all that. I do believe he did some stuff for them, but don't quote me on that. It's weird because when you look at the guy, great look, great menacing look. I mean, he had a really nice crossbreed of, if I were to kind of describe him, because I know some of you guys have like probably never even seen this guy. He kind of reminded me a little bit of, what's a good analogy? What's a good analogy? Okay. Think Authors of Pain meets Andrade meets, I would say, I'm trying to figure out a third person I could put in there, but I can't think of a third one. But just run with that. Just run with that. Think of that nice crossbreed. That sounds like a good crossbreed, right? Let's just jam these two together. What do we get? Kind of like one of those type of deals. That's a guy, and I was looking him up as far as his matches go and everything. Not that much was going on with him. And if you bear with me a second here, I can tell you exactly. Yeah, this is a case right here. The last time he did something for WWE, you got to go back to January of this year. I repeat, January of this year. He did the Superstar Spectacle TV show. That had involved Rey Mysterio, Ricochet, Cesaro, Dolph Ziggler, King Corbin, Nakamura, Shanky, Dilshear. And other than that, he pretty much has mainly been doing stuff for the CWE promotion. I mean, that's really it. His whole career just screams the CWE. So is that maybe a joint he's going to be going back to, maybe in some form? Who knows? But, you can't really. I think just the fact that we spent the couple of minutes that we spent talking about him, I think that sufficed. That's good enough, so we can keep on moving on. No particular random order here. Next up, Leon Ruff. Leon Ruff being released by the WWE. I got to tell you, this one for me personally, this one stings. This one stings. I'm not going to even lie to you guys. It stings for me because I have been a quiet fan of Leon Ruff's work. I be that same guy that, you give me those little guys like a cheeseburger, over there in Ring of Honor and everything. It's like, I like those underdogs, right? Sometimes I like those small little guys that, no chance in hell. And, and when I looked at a guy like Leon Ruff, I looked at him and said, man, this guy's got like all the greatest potential in the world. This guy is freaking badass. Like, yeah, I could definitely. And look, the feud that he had going on there with Isaiah Swerve Scott. Oh, man, I was feeling that shit. That was some of his best work to date down in NXT. I was enjoying that. I felt that what Leon Ruff and Swerve Scott were doing really complimented the hell out of each other. They really did. They both really elevated the hell out of each other's game. And I loved seeing that mean streak that was coming out of Leon Ruff. And for me, I always felt that, man, just when things were really starting to get white hot here, really interesting with this feud, all of a sudden, Leon Ruff is off TV. Whether he has some personal stuff going on, who knows? I'm sure he'll talk about it candidly at a later date. But to not see him consistently on NXT programming and pretty much continue to build off of what he had did there in that feud with Swerve Scott, for me early on, I looked at that and I just kind of found that a little bit baffling, but I really didn't spend too much time on it. But I did say, okay, that's kind of weird. 25-year-old cat. Love the guy. Love the guy. Remember, he was a one-time NXT North American champion. So that should tell you that, Triple H and them, they did think of him in some type of high regard. The hell with the storyline. I mean, yeah, of course you can make an argument that, him winning the title, it was just a way to justify this story arc that they were essentially doing with these characters, and he pretty much was the one in the middle of it and everything. And yeah, I can definitely see where you guys are saying to a certain degree and everything, but shit, he still rose to the occasion. In my book, as far as I'm concerned, he still rose to the occasion. So, this is a guy that you want to talk evolve, tearing it up over there, doing what he was doing in NXT. This young brother, he's going to be all right. This young brother is going to be all right. If he wants to continue to be involved in pro wrestling, and I know he does, he's going to continue to go out there, and he's going to continue to freaking crush it. If you guys are a little bit curious as far as when was the last time he did some stuff in ring wise, like when was the last time we saw him on television, you got to rewind it back to July 2005. He took on Grayson Walker. Before that, his last NXT appearance, you got to go back to May of this year, where Pete Dunne had defeated him. And then before that, it was the Falls Count Anywhere, my absolute favorite, Isaiah Scott taking on Leon Ruff there. Yeah. So he's gonna be all right. He's gonna bounce back when it's all said and done. Unless there's any new name that has come in. I definitively have the entire list because we were supposed to come on at 10 o'clock. I purposely spent 15 minutes. We didn't come on live until 10:15. I purposely spent 15 minutes compiling as much information as I can in real time of all the releases. So the names I'm sitting on right now, that's been confirmed again by the good kind people over at FIFO and by PW Insider. This is it for now. So unless something has transpired past 10:15 p.m. Eastern on the East Coast, we got the definitive list, right? I know everybody's kind of like, oh, but there was this person, like there was this person. I got it covered unless you think for sure you got somebody new. And trust me, if I do see what you guys are saying in the chat, so don't think I'm ignoring you guys. We got a lot of names we need to get through. So it's like the more we can just, right, to the point. Let's go to the next person on the list here. Now this one, a shocker. Again, no particular order. Just dealing with the names as I see them. This one, Leon Ruff definitely stung for me. This one stings for me big fucking time. And you guys got to forgive me if I spend just a couple of minutes really talking about this person, because I'm going to fucking take tonight to give this person their roses. And I need to give those roses to Mercedes Martinez. This, of all the releases, this for me has to be the dumbest fucking move. It has to be the dumbest fucking move. And I'll explain the reason why. But you know what? Let's go into it right now, because I can just ping pong back and forth while reacting to the release here. So let me see if I got this straight. Mercedes Martinez. And I take this personal too, because this is a woman's career I have followed on the indies. Like, okay, I got into podcasting in 2011, and I believe I first started coming into the work of Mercedes Martinez in 2012, maybe almost 2013, 2012, maybe going into 2013. And I instantly became a fan of her work. Loved her fucking shit. There used to be a time early on in my podcasting career, there would be certain talents I would see, and I would just go, man, I would love their work so much that I would try to do everything I could to see if I could get an interview with them and everything. And I remember Mercedes Martinez, for me, she was one of those white whales. It's like, just when you think you got them, like, nah, some, she was like the one white whale of a few that over the years, man, that's one. Because there's not that many people these days I would legit be interested in sitting down, not the whole typical, so when did you decide you wanted to be a pro wrestler? Oh, isn't that nice? Nah, I mean like an actual fucking conversation. You've checked out any of my interviews. That's the number one compliment I get the most. It's like, you don't really do it's more like a conversation, basically, So always a big supporter of her work. Appreciate everything that she was doing for always appreciated what she was doing representing women's wrestling and really trying to help change the stigma of it and everything. This is a woman that pretty much fought, clawed, chipped her way. I was just in euphoria when I found out, what was that? Was it last year or the year before? Oh, wow, she's finally in WWE. All right, she's down at the Performance Center. Hey, all right, cool, badass. And I had always felt that, okay, if anybody can essentially come into the NXT, help out the women's division, help take it to that next level, definitely a woman like Mercedes Martinez can assist with that. And, I was very realistic. I looked at how WWE did the Mickie James. I looked at that. I looked at Lita. And I kind of honestly felt to myself, Mercedes Martinez. I mean, you could picture the matchups for sure. Oh, man, Mercedes versus Charlotte Flair. Mercedes versus Bayley. Mercedes versus Sasha Banks. Mercedes versus Carmella. Like insert. I mean, there's some damn good names in there. Mercedes versus Rhea Ripley. Mercedes Tony Storm. I mean the combinations are just, they're badass. Naomi or Tamina versus Mercedes. I mean, the combinations are just endless, y'all. It's fucking fantastic. So I also looked at Mercedes as, okay, that new natty. That new natty, that new Candice LeRae. Like, you always hear that, okay, down in NXT, Candice is kind of like the big sister. She pretty much, welcomes in all the girls. She looks over them, she watches after them, makes sure they're not going the wrong path and, really keeps them in line. And, she's really a big old sponge and she's trying to do everything she can to, help these girls succeed. You go to, whichever show on between Raw and SmackDown that Natty is on, and Natty is pretty much that respected leader and everything. And so I always had pictured that Mercedes, in my heart of hearts, I felt her window of opportunity in WWE was very, very narrow. I felt that with good cardio, good training, which honestly has never been a problem for Mercedes, but I felt that, she's always been in pretty damn good shape. But I felt that, okay, if she can just stay healthy, keep everything nice and stretched out, warmed up and everything, don't do anything too crazy, she could probably have herself about a 3-4 year run in WWE, and then maybe make the transition into being a matchmaker, lay everything out, or maybe she can be that person that can help lay out a match, right? Or maybe she can help, okay, we're gonna schedule nothing but the matches for the women. You understand what I'm saying. So the fact that Mercedes Martinez didn't even make it in that time frame, I was thinking in my head, just crazy, just freaking crazy for me. Since 2000, this woman has been at it. Since 2000. And for me, the big wrestling mark that I am, especially following women's wrestling, checking out all the indie women's wrestling promotions that's out there, for me to see what Mercedes Martinez was doing, and to finally see her arrive to the big dance, it definitely made me feel all right. Finally, a company like WWE, they're really starting to understand what's going on outside of their little fucking bubble. And they now are finally recognizing what we fans that make our rounds checking out all these other wrestling promotions besides the WWE, because they aren't the only flavor in town, right? Now they know what we've been talking about, and okay, great. And to see the Mercedes Martinez's, the Shotzi Blackhearts, you feel where I'm coming from? You could just keep going on and on with some of those names. The Ruby Riots, right? The Sarah Logans, right? Like, you're like, oh, wow. And now it just kind of feels like we're going in this other weird direction that just, you hear Mercedes Martinez release, you just left scratching your head kind of going, this doesn't make any sense. And let's really stop and think about this. One of the last times we had saw Mercedes Martinez on TV there, remember she had the feud going on there with Raquel Gonzalez. Remember that? And I mean, not for nothing, but that was a damn good match that they had. And then pretty much after that, we ain't really see her on TV again, right down to the point. The last time she was on TV, you got to rewind it back to June of this year was the last time she was in a match. Remember, that it was the mixed match. Let me set this up properly for you guys. It was the mixed match where Tian Sha, that was basically Boa and Xia Li, they defeated Jake Atlas and Mercedes Martinez. And that was on the episode of NXT. And then right before that, she did do something for that whole month of June. She did something. She did a couple of joints in April. So she was pretty consistent on your programming this year up until we got to that particular mixed match. And remember that mixed match because there was a spot that went down. Remember that? You guys probably had heard about it on the websites and everything. She had took a really bad spot. And I remember I was on this show Wednesday night telling you guys in real time what I was experiencing as I was watching her take that blow to the head, and the way the referee did a phenomenal job jumping in there, trying to make sure that Mercedes was all right. Just the way she commanded the situation and everything. Like, you could tell legit something went wrong and that Mercedes was not. Yeah, the body might have been moving. You might have seen her eyelids open, but nobody was home, right? Nobody was home. Nobody was going to be home for a couple of hours. And I remember how social media had tried to rip into Xia Li and all that because they had maybe, I don't know how long, maybe an hour or two afterwards, they had put out some type of a photo pretty much trying to continue on this little feud here. And people were just all in a freaking uproar. And you're like, okay, let's step back here. Are we really sure we want to be dying on this cross because maybe Xia Li and them know something that we don't know, like maybe Mercedes is actually okay, and this is why this photo was released. And then sure enough, leave it to Jake Atlas. Jake Atlas had posted something along the lines of, hey, just came from the hospital with Mercedes, she's all right. Hey, she's a tough ass broad. She's gonna bounce back from this. We're good to go. Man, they already checked her out, right? And you're like, oh, okay, cool. So that was the last time we saw her. And now this pretty much had happened with the release. I think of all the releases, this one, not the smartest release whatsoever. From one boneheaded release to another WTF release. Bronson Reed released by the WWE. He pretty much had put out a tweet basically saying, I'm free. Watch out, world, here I come, right? He's pretty much doing his whole getting ready, because here I come. You know, he's pretty much doing that, right? V5 fold. Look out, baby, because here I come. You know, he's in the Temptations mode right now. Look, I'll be honest with you guys, and I got to be consistent here. I know that Bronson Reed has his fans. I know he has his fans. I know a lot of people were loving his work. I thought for a big guy, I thought he was very impressive. I loved particularly how agile, how versatile he was in the ring. I definitely got to give that to him. The way that Triple H and them presented him, I enjoyed, because the music and the graphics on the Tron and the way he would come out so menacing and, oh man, somebody's about to die. Somebody about to get into a world of hurt. Yo, oh, peep this out. You know, it kind of gave me that type of vibe. And what he was doing in the ring was just, I loved it. I sincerely loved it. It was solid. He was a beast of a juggernaut of a man. Where I may be going a different path down the road here from the majority of fans that like Bronson Reed, where my concerns were with him, the promo work, the personality. I felt that it really wasn't flushed out, enough. And look, has nothing to do with his accent. I know he's from Australia. You know, he was born and raised in Australia and everything. And I know he kind of has a little bit of an Australian accent and all that. I don't even hold that against him. But when he would start to talk, that mystique that initially lured me to him, you know, I think you guys, if you really take a step back, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And the more and more this man was put in a position where, you know, talk, I'm going, no, less is better. Just come in there, whoop ass, cash the checks, keep it moving along. Less is better. I did not want him taking 4-5 minutes of promo. No. He needs to be the type of cat that comes out there. You've been talking way too much shit. Time for talking is over. Get your ass in here. Take this beating like a man. That's the type of talk, short to the point. That's the type of stuff I was looking for from Bronson Reed. And for me, I just felt the personality, it needed more fine tuning. You know, his mic work, you know, you're like, yeah. You know, but quietly you're going, that can be better. And that's how I felt about Bronson Reed. So look, I'm not saying he was a bust. I'm just saying, and I think even Bronson would probably agree to a certain extent that, you know, hey, talking, you know, not really my strong point. Can't dodge it forever, but, you know, yeah, you know, I wish we could have. I'm sure he probably has some regrets or whatever as far as what he would like to, you know. But see, here's where things get even more weird with this Bronson Reed release. You hear that report from a few weeks ago, remember that? And I forget who confirmed it. I want to say maybe it was Sonya Deville that confirmed it. When I'm off the show, I'll research it, but I remember bringing it up. But somebody did confirm that Vince McMahon was, in fact, at the Performance Center that respected week with Kevin Dunn, you know, a couple other people, and they were looking at some of the talents. You know, and I guess, you know, when you hear something like that, you can pretty much say to yourself, oh, okay, so, all right, getting a glimpse into the future, getting a little taste of what's to come. Oh, okay, you know, who might pique Vince's interest here, right? And, by all accounts, those that had their connections, oh, Vince loved him some Bronson Reed. And, you're hearing all of this stuff. And then you go, combine that with Bronson Reed having some dark matches. Remember that? He was having dark matches. And you're going, oh, yeah, maybe this brother is about to get the freaking call up here. Maybe something badass is about to go down here. For those of you that don't even know about those dark matches that I was referencing earlier, peep this out. Peep this out. There was a episode, a main event, where he took on Drew Gulak. The very last time we actually saw Bronson Reed, too, you got to go back to the July 21st episode of NXT. He took on Adam Cole. That was the last time we saw him on WWE programming, and he's pretty much been off the air since then. There was a Smackdown dark match he had against Robert Roode. And this would have been, and that was around June 18th that he did that dark match. So that falls right in line to about that time frame where Vince McMahon had came to the Performance Center, which since was actually confirmed by talents that were doing interviews. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. Bronson Reed. All right, cool. The North American Championship feud he had going on there with Johnny Gargano. I love that shit. I fucking love that shit. I really felt that Gargano really carried a lot of that. He carried a lot of that weight, for the feud and everything. Because, for me personally, if he just would have taken Johnny Gargano out of it, I don't know if that Bronson Reed Ultimate run, I just don't know if it would have been as cool, if things would have been as interesting. And that's where you definitely need to make sure you give Johnny Gargano his roses. Sure, we've seen this guy get a kitchen sink. He's been stabbed at. He's been shot at. He's been drowned. He's been chopped up with a hacksaw. And somehow that little bastard keeps coming back. He just won't die. He's kind of one of them type of cats. But give the devil his due, man. When it comes to trying to make somebody look pretty freaking badass, he has a fantastic way of doing that, for sure. He has a fantastic way of doing that. So, but, look, besides the issues with the promos, I felt that the young brother was coming along. I saw a lot of great potential in him. A lot of great potential. And for me personally, what made him so cool to me was, he reminded me, on the one hand, he reminded me a little bit of Samoa Joe. But then on the other hand, he kind of gave me a little bit of a Vader vibe. But then on the other hand, he kind of gave me a Tyrus vibe. Not Brodus Clay, Tyrus, big difference. So you got all of those fun little elements that's going on. I did have trepidations about, okay, if this guy were to ever come up on the main rosters, is that going to be it for his serious gimmick? Are they maybe going to try to go, oh, we're just going to make this guy the new sexual chocolate, Mark Henry? I did have trepidations for that, but, now we'll kind of, never really know. It's kind of sad. But of all the releases, I don't know who signed off on this, but of all the releases, if there's one release I'm looking at and I'm going, this was by far the stupidest fucking release that WWE could have done, this would have been it. This would have been it. I don't see how anybody tries to explain or justify Bronson Reed being released. Just think about everything that we had saw of Johnny Gargano these past couple, involves Johnny Gargano, yes, but I meant to say, just think about everything that we've seen these past handful of months with Bronson Reed, and just the way it kind of seemed as though he was being positioned. Ultimately, you kind of felt as if maybe this guy could be the one to ultimately chase after Karrion Kross for the NXT World Heavyweight Championship actually get the championship off of Karrion Kross, as Karrion Kross rides off into the sunset and is a permanent fixture on whichever flagship show. You felt as though ultimately that's maybe where we were going to be going, because when you just looked at the canvas, the NXT canvas, and you're going, okay, who could be the one? Who could be the one that could take the title off of? And I'm talking about before Samoa Joe. Before Samoa Joe was in the picture. You're going, yeah, Bronson Reed for sure. Bronson Reed for sure. He's the guy. So, yeah, this head scratching. Just head scratching. But he's going to be all right. Make no mistake about that. He's going to be all right. We have not seen the last of him. You know, this guy's been at it since the mid to late 2000s, right? Mid to late 2000s. Man, he going to be all right. Worked for Japan's Pro Wrestling Noah, British promotions, Rev Pro, West Side Extreme Wrestling, PWG. I mean, you know, it was funny seeing so many people, and the general consensus is the same. Everybody's going, he's going to be all right. Oh, man, he's going to go to AEW. Oh, man, he's got options. A lot of these talents got options, especially now that, but see, it's a little delicate right now because of the pandemic and this new Delta variant. But despite that, motherfucker does have options, right? So, yeah, that's a head scratcher. Let's keep rocking and rolling. We only got a couple of more releases to talk about. Here's one that Jock had brought up. And yes, Bobby Fish was released by WWE. 44-year-old Bobby Fish. What can I say about Bobby Fish? Bobby Fish is somebody I've had tremendous amount of respect for, going back to the old ROH days. Fucking Red Dragon. God, don't even get me started on Red Dragon. I mean, shit. The stuff that they were doing in ROH, man. Oh, man. Man, was that a great time to be a ROH fan. It really, really was. And we're talking about post-CM Punk. You know, because remember, you know, CM Punk, you know, Daniel Bryan, I mean, a lot of good-ass names there in ROH. And when those guys were leaving, somehow ROH just continued to thrive. They continued to power on and everything. And, oh, yeah, man, Bobby Fish. Don't even get me started on Bobby Fish. As far as tag teams go, somebody had asked me a couple of weeks ago, you know, who's my, I think they asked me who's my favorite tag team in AEW. You know, and I told them, I said, I don't have a favorite tag team right now in AEW. I'm not seeing enough that, okay, I'm gravitating towards these guys. I have my favorites, but, you know, but if you were to just rephrase that question and just in general and ask me straight up, hey, in recent history, you know, recent memory, who's some of your favorite tag teams? Red Dragon's at the very top of my list. Red Dragon is at the top of my list. I'm not sure what to make of this release. I got to be honest with you. This one is a little bit of a head scratcher for me. Because remember, Bobby Fish in storyline, he just came back. And he's pretty much been feuding there with Roderick Strong. Okay? So, you know, kind of weird when you think about it, because it's like, okay, these guys that were in the UE, the Undisputed Era, couldn't stand the fuck out of each other. And now that things have pretty much just fallen apart and they've all decided, okay, we're going to separate. Well, y'all that can't stand each other find every single excuse there is in the book to cross paths with each other and beat the shit out of each other. Yeah. So that's where we are with that. But I got to tell you, upon Bobby Fish coming back this go round and getting involved in the whole Diamond Mine stuff, one of my low points watching Bobby Fish. I looked at it and I'm just going, this isn't even remotely cool. This isn't even remotely interesting. Don't really care for this. What else you got? That was my whole takeaway, and that was no shade towards Bobby Fish, Roger. I just wasn't feeling the whole Diamond Mine thing, right? And he was out for a good little period of time with an injury and all that. So head scratcher, definitely a head scratcher here. If he is at a point in his career, we can't really talk on behalf of these guys. We can't. We don't know what their mindset is right now. Whether or not they want to continue on wrestling, or whatnot. I mean, in the case of Bobby Fish, though, you look at some of the last times we saw him on programming, and I mean, the brother could still go. As a matter of fact, if it wasn't last week, now I'm not talking about this week that we're in. If it wasn't last week, it was the week before. Bobby Fish had a match with Roderick Strong, and I just remember watching that, and I was actually entertained by that. Again, don't care for the Diamond Mine shit, but that match was pretty damn good. Matter of fact, that was on July 21st. It was on July 21st. I just looked it up. It was on July 21st that those two had fought each other. Then also remember, Bobby Fish was teaming up there with Kushida. So there was he faced Tyler Russ. Before that, he faced Pete Dunne. So he was mixing it up there. But it kind of seemed as though there was no specific direction for a cat like Bobby Fish. You feel where I'm coming from? So, that for me, you look at that, and I just can't help but say, man, how the times are changing. Because you would have thought that with all of these guys that were part of the UE, even if we were to separate these guys, and the belief is that we can make more money off of these guys as individuals, because look at how they were pushing out merch when they were together in this faction. Okay, all right, I hear you to a certain degree, but sometimes ain't nothing wrong with the philosophy. If it ain't broke, why you gotta try to fix it? Why you gotta try to switch things up? Just let it stay the way that it is. Now, granted, one could make the argument that the UE respectfully ran its course. There really wasn't anything more you could do with it. I beg to differ. I still felt in my heart of hearts you could have done a lot more with the UE. Specifically, you could have had the UE second lease on life go over as a whole faction, go on over to Smackdown or go on over to Raw, but then the question becomes, would all of those guys really be down with that? Would they be down with the live touring and all of that? Would they be willing to truly commit themselves mentally and physically to that type of a schedule? Because that would definitely mean being on the road a lot more and everything. But one thing that we can all be in agreement of, I think it's kind of safe to say, yeah, the UE had no business being broken up. They could have gotten a lot more of a shelf life. But then again, was it even an option? Was it even discussed? Was it shot down? We'll know in due time when some of these guys' 90-day non-compete clauses are up and they're able to really talk candidly and all that. But that one, I gotta say, that kind of surprising for me. And see, now that you see that, now you can't help but wonder, so what's really going to be happening here with Adam Cole? You hear the rumblings that's going on with his contract and everything. WWE was under the impression they had him locked until 2022 or something like that. So now you can't help but wonder, okay, well, if this is accurate and the contract is actually coming up for renewal in a couple of weeks, yeah, right, you're Adam Cole, you kind of see the writing on the wall, what's currently going on here. There is some type of a major changing of the winds here what's really going on here. And it almost feels like, to a certain degree, that and I need for like all the reporters to really get on top of this, because the way it's coming off right now, it really comes off as if there is some type of a power structure of unbalance in the WWE. Because look at all of these great talents, within reason, of course, but I'm not trying to say somebody is shitty, but you get what I really mean. But look at all these talents we've talked about so far. And for some of these talents, you're just going, what the hell? And again, it goes back to a point I brought up on the show earlier this week, which is one hand truly aware of what the other hand is doing? Is Triple H and crew that have spent so much time, energy, resources, like precious little babies, nurturing them, molding them, giving them all the most successful resources at their disposal to be successful, ultimately going to the main roster, you can't help but wonder if the communication in that one hand with Triple H and his respected people and everything that's going on in NXT is really communicating with that other hand that's ultimately known as Nick Khan. Because, man, I tell you what, Nick Khan has really, really been picking up steam. He has really been picking up steam, but for like all the wrong reasons. We'll get into it a little bit more with Nick Khan, but some of these names that are remaining, I mean, they just pretty much, we can just boom, 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 boom. So let's go ahead and do our boom, 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 boom. And I'll spin it to you guys as far as, whatever names is kind of shocking to you all right now from the list. Y'all can definitely sound off. I would love to definitely know what you guys are thinking. 26-year-old Jake Atlas, former gymnast, being released by the WWE. Look, he's been at it, late 2000s, basically. So just a handful of years he's been at it. Can I be honest with you? You know who he reminds me of? Like very, very early on in his career too, mind you. He reminds me a lot of not Robbie E, but the other guy. And he's currently in NXT. I can't think of his name right now, but he's running around with Santos Escobar. He's running around with Santos Escobar. I can't think of his name, but he used to be in Impact Wrestling. He kind of reminds me, that guy. He reminds me a lot of, I almost had his name, but it escaped me. It was about to come out, but then it escaped me. But somebody tell me what that guy's name is, because now that's going to bother me for the rest of the damn show. Come on, Impact Wrestling, DJ Zima Ion. That was his name, Zima Ion. Yeah, because it sounded like a fucking drink. That was his name. Jake Atlas kind of reminds me of a Zima Ion, but a beta version. He's not quite. He's still piecing everything together. He's got a nice look and everything. When you just look at the presentation, the body, you're like, oh, that's pleasant. But once you get past that, it's like, okay, well, let's get right down to the substance. Let's talk about the substance. Not much substance there. Not much there. So, look, in the case of Jake Atlas, if he's still very serious about pursuing a wrestling career, and look, not for nothing, but he was at the Santos Brothers Wrestling Academy in Los Angeles when he first began. So, I mean, he was pretty serious about learning the craft, being dedicated to it and all that. If his heart is still in that place, then what's happening with this release right now, like everything happens for a reason. He'll bounce back from this. there's nothing wrong with some people being released and essentially finding themselves elsewhere. For some, they've got to do a full circle type of journey in order to really find themselves. You know, look, he's been in the WWE system now since like 2018. So he's been there a couple of years now, right? Again, great presentation, right? Great presentation. You know, I look at it, I think the best analogy to use to really bridge the gap here, the best analogy to use would be you're on Match.com or you're on eHarmony or whatever the fucking site is, and you're doing the little swipe bullshit, you know, and you're like, wow, look at this babe. Oh man, she is fucking cute. Nice, got all her teeth. Oh man, she's got nice pretty hair. She ain't cockeyed. Oh man, hell yeah, definitely want to get to know this broad. You know, you spend a little bit of time doing a little messaging, a little text, a little ring ding ding. Then when it comes time to meet them in person, the presentation is still, it's banging. Oh man, sister got the badow in the back. She's got the badow. You know, she's got all that good shit going on. But then when it's time for her to open her mouth and it's time for her to, oh, right, you're already sold on the outer presentation, right? Now you got to hear the words coming out of her mouth. Now you got to hear about the personality, right? Now you got to get an idea what's going on with this personality. Jake Atlas, great presentation, not enough substance. But I'm not giving up on Hope. I'm not giving up on him. I look at a guy like Fred Rosser. Fred Rosser was a guy, same fucking analogy. Great presentation. Right? You guys can admit that, especially if you watch the NWA product. Great presentation. Time to open that mouth. Let's really get a connection here. No substance. Some people, and look what he had to do. He had to find himself. He had to go in the independents and he had to find himself. And now look at where he is now. I mean, he's come a long, long way, you know. So I wouldn't be surprised if Jake Atlas kind of, right? I see a little potential. I see. It's going to be interesting to see what develops with him, you know, a couple of years from now. Let's see where that young man is about 3 years from now. All right, so that's Jake Atlas. Who else we got here? Wow, is that it? Did we go through all the names? No, I don't think we went through every single name here. Bear with me here. I don't think we went through every single name here. Let me pull up the notepad real quick here. See, Bronson, Tyler Russ. Did we talk about Tyler Russ? I kind of feel as though we did talk about Tyler Russ already here. Let's see. Mercedes Martinez, I know we talked about. We talked about Bobby Fish. We talked about Jake Atlas. We talked about Kona Reeves. Giant Zanir. We talked about that. There was a person released by the name of Ari Sterling. Again, Ari Sterling. This name, I got to be honest with you guys. I looked at this name and I was kind of like, I don't really know who the hell this person is. Let me get some more info on this person. I know there was a referee that was released too. Ari Sterling, this guy was mainly down in 205, and he actually tweeted about his WWE release. Here's what he had said. He basically said Alex Zane, Ari Sterling. So he's now calling himself Alex Zane. That's pretty much it. This guy signed to the WWE Performance Center going back fall of last year. Fall of last year is when he had signed to the Performance Center and everything. And he pretty much was alongside the tag team class of MSK, Tyler Russ. But he mainly was featured on 205 Live. So again, it's kind of one of those, if you weren't watching 205 Live, you know, he did appear on an episode of NXT. He lost a match to Cameron Grimes. Y'all may recall that. But other than that, like one of the last handful of shows he did, I think the very last thing he did, I believe he had a match, 205 Live match against Kushida. Don't quote me on that. But I believe, yeah, I believe he did a 205 Live match where he faced Kushida. And at that point, the NXT Cruiserweight Champion and all that. So, yeah, he pretty much was mainly known for wrestling for Game Wrestling Charger. Or no, Game Charger Wrestling. I apologize. He's pretty much well known for working with that federation. You know, from a little bit that I remember seeing, a very talented high flyer. But I wish I could say a little bit more about the guy. But, you know, again, it's kind of one of those, if you're not really watching 205 Live at least, then you're kind of going to be a little bit in the dark. And sadly, you're not going to really care about that guy. But, you know, a little bit of stuff that I've seen of him, you know, okay. He was actually pretty okay. Let's see, who else? Zachara Smith. Zachara Smith is another one that was released. Again, some of these names you're kind of like, who are you talking about? Who? This one, I'll try to help you guys out with this one. Give me a second here, because I don't know, like, former basketball player. There were former basketball player. Played college basketball for Morgan State University. Was a longtime Harlem Globetrotter. Signed with the WWE Performance Center January of last year. That's really about it. I don't even know if they've done dark matches, because I remember when I was trying to do a little bit of research of them online, I couldn't really find that much on them. Great, you know, decent look, but, you know, if you were to ask me straight up, okay, Lee, you got to pick from these handful of talents, who do you think 3 years from now, 5 years from now? I got to be honest, he's definitely one of those people I'm looking at saying, nah, I don't smell money. I don't think I can make money. I don't think I can print money with this cat. Nothing personal. Maybe enhancement talent at best. Nothing wrong with enhancement talent, right? But, yeah. So, yeah, really, as far as I know, I have to rely on you guys on that one. But as far as I know, I don't believe he even had any matches. I think this guy was actually kind of like still in the oven baking, right? That's what was going on with him. Stefan Smith. Stefan Smith was another person that was released. One of these was a referee. I think this one actually might have been that. Yeah. Stefan Smith, referee. Other than that, that's everybody. We've actually gone through everybody. So again, you're just now tuning in real time while SmackDown was on tonight. These were the names that were released. Grand total 12. Last I checked. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Unless some new names have been added since we've been on the air. Again, these were the names that were released. Bronson Reed, Tyler Russ, Leon Ruff, Mercedes Martinez, Bobby Fish, Jake Atlas, Kona Reeves, Giant Sanjir, Asher Hale, Stefan Smith, Zachara Smith, Ari Sterling. Those are all the people that were released from WWE. Interesting, 2 Smiths in there. It's kind of interesting. 2 Smiths. Surely they're not related, right? Surely they're not related. They can't be related. I'm assuming they're not related. So look, to all the people that were released by WWE today, I've always been a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. Okay? Everything happens for a reason. I've always been a firm believer in when one door closes, somehow the powers that be, all things that's mystical, they always open another door for you. Everything has its respected season. That includes friendships, that includes relationships, right? That includes business as well. You know, everything has its respected season, everything has its respected time and place. And you can't be so caught up in the why is this happening to me? You know, why now? But I didn't do anything wrong. And I just, this makes no sense. You know, if you get so caught up on the logistics, you're just gonna ultimately drive yourself fucking crazy, and you don't need to do that. All you need to focus on is the right here and the right now, and just say, okay, you know what? This happened. It is what it is. I'm moving along. For some people, they're gonna look at this, they're gonna have a chip on their shoulders, and that's great. That's great. But don't dare be in a position where I'm going to prove these people wrong. You know, they made a mistake and like, no. Bump all that. Bump all that. What you should be saying to yourself is, okay, this didn't work out. Okay, that's fine. You know what? Fuck them. That's their loss. I'm going to keep doing me. I'm going to keep being me. I'm going to keep doing what I love to do no matter what, and doing it as best as I can on my terms. That's how you need to fucking go do it. And I'm not telling you something that, if you really stop and think about what I just laid out, that's like the number one. Take it from a guy that's older. That's the philosophy that you want to have to truthfully be most successful in life, in any and everything that you do. God's the honest truth. I promise you, if you go in with that kind of mindset and you just, any and everything that you want, that you expect that's going to come to you, you're gonna fucking get it. You're gonna crush it because you're gonna earn it. All that other shit. Okay. Now look, one can make an argument that, man, WWE, they didn't have to go this route because, man, look at the reports that came out for their last earnings call. Oh, they made so much good money, and you know, why the fuck are they doing all of this? This doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Okay? Look, man, Nick Khan and people, they pretty much are looking at this, and this is the best analogy I can use. This is the best analogy I can use. And I can kind of apply a little bit of realism to this as well, if you'll indulge me, all right? I'll try not to be too long-winded with you guys. But look at it from this standpoint. Let's say you have your own respected company, all right? Just whatever you're picturing as, man, you know what? If I could start my own business, this is what I would do. Just close your eyes and just picture that business. Everybody at some point, doesn't matter what your age is, you know, everybody at some point, man, I'd love it if I was able to do this. If I was able to do this for a living and I was my own boss. Just close your eyes, picture you got that business right now. All right? Let's say you've been in business for about 5 years now. Money is good. Money is consistent. All right? You are continuing to stay cash flow positive. Every quarter you go into, man, you got a rollover. You are just continuing to stay cash flow positive. Okay? Business is so good, man, you're hiring people left and right. Motherfucker need a job? Yeah, I got something for him. Yeah, we'll find something. We'll find something for him. Just have him come on down, fill out the application. They already got the job. I just want to meet the motherfucker. Just have him come on down. Yeah. Man, they ain't killed nobody, right? Right? They'll be able to pass a criminal background check, right? Yeah. Man, tell that motherfucker come on down. I'll hook him up with a job. Okay? So business is booming, all of that good stuff, right? You're just boom, 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 boom. Now, the person that's been managing your book, your finances, right? The person that's essentially your financial planner, the person that essentially is staying on top of making sure you continue to stay cash flow positive. They decide, they're going to retire or whatever. They've just met that respected age. Y'all with me so far? All right, so you got a new person that comes in that's pretty much going to be handling over payroll, all financial expenses with your business, all of that, right? Now, they get the rocking. They crunching in the numbers. They're looking at everything, and they say to you, and I'm just going to pick on somebody randomly in the chat here. Let's see who we got in here so far. I just need a name. Let's go with Armand. Let's pick with Armand. And they say, hey, Armand, need to talk to you. I want to show you something with these books. And Armand's like, everything good? Oh, yeah. I just want to show you, okay, so for the past, 3 years now, see here that, you don't hired about blah, 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 blah. And to date, we've got a total of about 400 people on the payroll. Were you aware of this? Well, yeah, I knew we had hired a lot of people, I mean, hey, there's always work for everybody. Okay, well, I understand that, but you want to continue to make as much money as possible, right? Well, yeah, of course I do. Yeah. Okay, well, look, you got 400 people on your payroll. Why the hell do you have 400 people on your payroll? Look at these departments that you got going on here. Okay, great. You got your advertising department. Okay, you've got, this video editing department over here. Okay, you got this. Do you really need all of this? We can actually consolidate and just have this be under one umbrella. We don't need all these subdivisions. Yeah, but the people. Well, yeah, I hear you on that. Yeah, I know. You want to be nice, Armand. I get it. You want to make sure that everybody has a job, right? You love everybody, right? I get that. But yearly basis, Sally is costing this much. Tim is costing this much. This person's costing this much. You could be having an extra blah, 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 blah dollars that could be applied towards this or go towards stock or blah, 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 yakety smackety. Now, all of a sudden, you as that business owner, you're going, man, wow, I knew I was always offering people jobs and, hey, we're still staying cash flow positive, but okay, think of it. It's like, it's one thing if, $5. It's like, nah, but with the amount of people that you could essentially cut and still be able to not only remain cash flow positive, but have X amount of money in the process that could be applied to other aspects of your business or just sit in escrow. Now we're talking a couple of $100,000. Now all of a sudden you're going, okay, you know what? Yeah, okay. All right, let's go ahead. Let's do this consolidation. Let's go ahead and do that. I know there were a lot of people that were jumping out there. Evil WWE, fucking evil. Fuck you, WWE. Fuck you. Letting all these people go. Evil bastards. Remember that? You had a lot of people that were jumping out there like that. And it's like, I need you guys to keep something in mind here to the people that are talking like that. You ain't going to get it no realer than how I'm giving it to you guys right now. It's easy for those people to say XYZ. It's easy for those people to say XYZ because those people most likely have never worked a real job in their life where they've been in that position where sadly they've had that boss call them into the office and say to them basically budget cuts. They're being let go. It's real easy when you don't know the inner workings and how business really works, especially if you've never been your own boss. You've never had your own respected business and you're trying to continue to stay cash flow positive because, I don't know, heaven forbid you end up in some type of a recession or, a pandemic, and you got to do everything you can to try to have your company stay afloat. regardless if you're able to, continue to be cash flow positive, the end game, you don't want to go out of business. So where needed, you can make the necessary cuts. You feel where I'm coming from? Why am I going to have one person cut hot dogs, or make hot dogs, another person make hamburgers, another person make steak, another person make fried chicken, you feel where I'm coming from? When I can consolidate the fuck out of that, do I really need 15 goddamn people in my kitchen to make whatever with the meat? Probably not. I probably can get away with 5 cooks. You strictly do poultry. You strictly do red meat. You motherfucker, you strictly do seafood. What am I doing? You're gonna wash the fucking dishes. What am I doing, boss? You get out there and be the fucking hostess, right? You get the point that I'm making, okay? You get the point. So think like that. Really think like that. It's real easy to, trust me, it's real easy to jump on that bandwagon when you don't really know. And you're like, that's why I always say, like, when in doubt, always seek enlightenment. Just be inquisitive. I don't know how you guys operate, but like sometimes I will strike up the most, sometimes oddest conversations, but coolest conversations with motherfuckers. I will talk finance with motherfuckers. I'll talk all kinds of cool shit with motherfuckers, just trying to learn something new. Because my whole philosophy is, if I'm not going into each day learning something new, I'm doing something wrong. That's just my mindset. Okay. So you definitely want to, go into it. And for me, I really love picking the brains of those that are operating their own businesses. And look, not for nothing, I've told you guys off and on over the years, I stay having friends that have their own, being in contact with friends that have their own little wrestling promotions. And some of them, I'm telling you, when the shit went down with the pandemic, as much as they would have liked, because they had the money. Think about this for a second. They had the money to actually go out there, do some type of limited tours or whatever. They had the connections to hire X amount of talents and do X amount of shows and all of that. But the return. Okay, so are you going to risk doing this while in the process risking putting yourself in a position of going bankrupt? Right? But then even if you're not going to go bankrupt, are you really going to drop that significant amount of coin in the bucket and get so little back in return? You keep doing that, I mean, eventually you're going to be the one. Anybody remember MC Hammer? I might be putting my age out there a little bit here, but MC Hammer's story, look up his VH1 Behind the Music story. His story is just this was a guy, once he made his money, he just continued to give it out. Give. MC Hammer was one of those type of motherfuckers. Hammer, hey, yeah, what's up, yo, blood? Hey, nothing much, man. Hey, this that little kid I was telling you about that knows how to play the fuck out of Mortal Kombat. Oh, yeah, what's up, little nigga? Yeah, that's what's up. Hey, here. I'm gonna make you out a check for $100,000. You go ahead and take that and, keep doing your thing with the video games. You dig, kid? Thanks, Hammer. Right? Hammer was one of those type of guys that would constantly and eventually he pretty much sent himself to the fucking poorhouse because he just kept, right? MC Hammer, bank ATM, he just kept fucking giving out the money, right? And sadly, in the process of that, he was attracting the wrong type of people, and the rest was pretty much history. He didn't end up becoming bankrupt for nothing, folks, right? So marinate on that. I know a lot of people are going to look at this and, fuck you, WWE, fuck you. You evil ass fucking empire, taking these people's livelihood and no, you know what? The greatest compliment that WWE was really able to do when you stop and think about it, it could have been much worse during the pandemic as far as the releases. It could have been much worse. They tried to hold on. You give them credit where credit is due. They tried to hold on to as many people as humanly possible as far as raises went, salary increases. They froze all of that shit. They really tried to do their best to just power through and, really only go about releasing when, okay, you know what? Things kind of seem a little bit better here. Nobody talks about some of the facts that some people that were granted their releases, they ain't got no 90-day clause or, you can't do anything for 6 months. Fuck you. Most people don't home in on that. Okay. So, let's talk more about what's going on right here and now from a positive standpoint, which is you got all these wrestling promotions. They're back up on the saddle again. Business is somewhat booming. And of course, if you're Tony Khan, you're Ash Ketchum from fucking Pokemon. And look, gotta catch 'em all. WrestleMon, that's Tony Khan right now. Tony Khan is the fucking Ash Ketchum of catching wrestlers. I need for him to slow the fuck down. And I know he's just looking at all of these and, he reminds me a lot of myself when I was a teenager and I was big into comic books. I mean, I probably was dropping within a month. I mean, it's nothing compared to now, because the price tags have gone up for the comic books. But I remember back when I was a teenager, within a month. And, I would, of course, my allowance, I would save it up, all that good stuff. Do some stuff around the house for neighbors, done all that good shit, right? But in a month, I would spend about $40 to $50 on comic books. And this is, of course, back when it was the mid to late 90s. I was spending about $40 to $50 on comic books monthly. And it was pretty much kind of one of those, I got to get this. Oh, I got to get that. Oh, I got to get this. Oh, shit, I got to get that. I got to get, yep. It was kind of like one of those type of deals. So when I look at Tony Khan, he reminds me a lot of myself as a teenager, collecting the comic books. And it's like, he's got like an OCD, it's like pump the brakes, son. We don't need to sign every single fucking body. We don't need to dare get into a situation where we're looking at AEW as the place to go for when you need food stamps. Oh man, I'm not going to be able to eat for the next couple of months. Oh man, that sucks to hear. What are you going to do? Man, I just don't know. And then to make matters worse, dog, I'm not going to be able to pay my rent for a couple of months. Oh, well, shit. Won't you just go to AEW? Say what? Yeah, girl. Go down to AEW. That's what I did. AEW was able to give me food stamps. AEW was able to hook me up with a Section 8 certificate, and I was able to find myself low-income housing. Hallelujah, AEW. Okay, we got to pump the brakes here because, yeah, it's getting that ridiculous. You don't think Vince McMahon, I mean, really take a step back and think about this. Everybody was just going on and on about the comments that Vince McMahon made, about AEW pretty much not being competition, totally different from, what was going on during the WCW days and all that. Now, to a certain degree, definitely right. To a certain degree, he was definitely right. Here's the thing, though. If you really stop and think about it, what Vince McMahon had to say, everybody says, Vince kind of lost it. Oh, he's a crazy old man. He knows not what he does, Lord. But Vince McMahon, really, when you read in between the lines, you know why he's not concerned about AEW? Why he's not concerned about Tony Khan? He sees Tony Khan and that open purse and how he is just gotta catch 'em all, WrestleMon. He's just uh, uh, and another one, and another one, and another one. That's Tony Khan. So you don't think Vince McMahon is pretty much in the cut? Paul White and them. Hey man, sorry to do this, man. It's been 30 years I've been working with you and everything. I love you. I appreciate you. I respect you. But man, I gotta go get this money, man. I gotta go to AEW. Shit, you think Vince McMahon? Vince like shit. Go get that money, my ninja. Go get paid, right? We gotta be careful. We gotta be careful here, because if you're Tony Khan and them, like, there's only but so much you can do with X amount of talent with what you got right now. And that's the honest truth. Eventually, and I would suspect that in the coming months, I mean, come on, man, assuming that AEW did get CM Punk, it really does come off sign, seal, deliver. He's theirs, right? But then Daniel Bryan, which I said a couple of weeks ago, look up the episode. I pretty much had said Daniel Bryan, CM Punk to AEW is like Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant to the Brooklyn Nets. Perfect analogy. Remember that. You heard it here first. But it's essentially like that. Okay? But you can't keep bringing in these guys with these pricey tags. Lord knows Sting is definitely a pricey tag. We remember this very well from his Impact days. Remember, got so out of hand there because poor book management, not doing a great job in staying cash flow positive. Dixie Carter and them had to get Spike TV to help chip in to pay for Sting's fucking salary. All right. After a while, if you're an AEW fan, I mean, that's great to be, hey man, let's get these former WWE talents. Let's, but we gotta be careful. We gotta make sure that riding that fine thin needle we got in our hand, and we're just weaving and a bobbing and just sewing all happy and shit. We got to be careful, because the last thing we want to do is see AEW in this position. It's not even about, oh man, it's becoming like WCW/WWE light. It's not even a matter of that. It's just a matter of, man, dude, you going to be able to balance your books? Because you're bringing in all these fucking people. I don't know, man. Once you work within your means, work with what you got, build from there. What you got is pretty good. Do you really need to get every single one of these motherfuckers that come up for release? No, you don't. That's my main concern. I've got no hate. I've got no shade towards Nick Khan. I think the business analogy that I used earlier, and if you just are tuning in, you seriously need to rewind it back. You really will understand. It's easy to talk a good game, but when you are running your own respected business, you are trying to do any and everything humanly possible to save as much money as possible, because not only do you want to continue to remain cash flow positive, you want to continue to see growth. You want to continue to see growth. Remember what I said earlier. Why do I need 15 motherfuckers in my kitchen to cook meat when I can just have one motherfucker focus on red meat, another motherfucker focus on poultry, another motherfucker focus on seafood, one motherfucker is my goddamn hostess, the other motherfucker is gonna wash dishes? I ask you, do I really need 15 motherfuckers for my kitchen? Probably, most likely not. It's all about the consolidation, man, right down to the point. You look at what's been happening with a lot of these dark matches. You look at how some of our favorite talents have been bouncing back and forth, doing a little bit of double duty. For example, Karrion Kross doing the double duty there. You look at the fact that, and by the way, what's going on with Mandy Rose? We, haven't seen her. in a couple of weeks. Hopefully everything is going pretty solid with her. But that's another one, we haven't seen anything of her in a couple of weeks there. But let's do this. Let's pause on this note. I want to read some of the comments you guys had to say about the releases that had came about. And if you guys been enjoying the show so far, please do me a huge favor. You haven't already done so already. Go ahead and hit that like button. Do that. That puts more eyeballs on the product. Really helps out tremendously. Feel free to subscribe too while you guys are at it here. Let's see. Steven, why is WWE releases people like from NXT, Bronson Reed? This is crazy. Yeah, as far as why would they, it is crazy. It is crazy. Of all the releases, again, probably the most stupidest release out of them all. Besides Bray Wyatt. Yeah. Fucking crazy, man. Fucking crazy. See what else we got here. Armand, WWE 2K22 roster gonna be like SVSR days less. Yeah, we were talking about that in the Discord, and there was a little bit of debate that was going on, which was, okay, yeah, when exactly does 2K typically have the roster down? When do the wrestlers get all their scans in and everything? And from my past experience, because my God, I've been covering practically all the 2K games for, God, so many years now. I go as far back as, right? You want to talk No Mercy, we can talk No Mercy. Or you want to talk Attitude, we can talk Attitude, right? Or WrestleMania 2000, we can talk that. But I go that far back. And normally they get their shit in like a year in advance, pretty much. That was usually the new norm. So like there used to be a time where when the new Smackdown or whatever, or 2K game would come out, like let's say it dropped in September. Well, shit, the 2K team at that point was already at that point that it was finally released in September. The 2K team was already working on next year's release. No bullshit. And typically, all the scans that they would need, they pretty much would have it ready like by the summer. Like probably about, I would say, April, May, June. Maybe even July. Somewhere in that time frame, they would pretty much have it rocking, ready to go. So yeah, I can just imagine what's probably going to be going on right now. It's probably going to be a headache for the 2K people. And as a matter of fact, now that I'm thinking about it, I can't help but wonder, when is the next 2K game supposed to come out? I know this year, but we don't have an exact. Let me see if I can find out. Because right now we're just seeing the commercials. Oh, it hits different. But like right now, we don't really know. Yeah, I'm on the 2K site and I'm still seeing coming soon. But let me go on the Wikipedia page and see if I can find something here. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah, still no official date. What I'm seeing right now is just they're saying Q3 or Q4 of 2021. That's what they're saying right now. Yeah, so nothing is official yet. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that game. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with that game. So, sound off. Give me some more what you guys had thought about the releases. Jason wants to know, where do I see Kona Reeves going? Maybe NWA. Yeah, he'd be a pretty good fit. That'd be pretty good for him in you know what? Impact or MLW, actually. Impact or MLW for me. I think that would probably be pretty good for him. That'd be a pretty good fit. Let's see what else here. I'm catching up here. Okay, so we're kind of caught up. Oh, hang on. Yes, Harris, I agree. Harris said a few of the WWE releases that came about tonight really took him by surprise for sure. What's to say about SmackDown tonight? I mean, do we really need to do a full blown recap of SmackDown? I mean, look, it was a somewhat mediocre, kind of dreadful show overall tonight that we got of SmackDown. No John Cena tonight. There was no John Cena appearance whatsoever. Was kind of disappointed by that. For me, honestly, the highlight, Edge, Seth Rollins. They had their nice back and forth, intensifying that rivalry even more. Edge doubling down, letting Rollins know, man, what's been going on with you and me, you've had it in for me. Past 2 Royal Rumbles, I've pretty much owned your ass. 2014, you had your opportunity to take me out. You didn't do it. You've been trying so hard all these years to be just like me, but kid, you coming up short. You ain't nothing but Edge light. I lost it when he owned Rollins like that. And I got to say, man, I'm really loving Rollins is reminding me so much just without the makeup. He's been reminding me a lot. I was actually, Tammy will tell you this. I actually brought it on off and on the past couple of weeks. And as recent as last week, I even said to her, I said, doesn't he remind you of Joaquin Phoenix's Joker? And she's like, really? She's like, yeah. And she kind of, watched him cut his promo from last time. And she was like, yeah, I actually see it. She's like, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe to some degree that was maybe his source material. I'm like, yeah. I've been loving what he's been doing as of late with his character. I mean, it's really been fucking growing on me. It's got this weird, calm, psycho, funny. It's very kind of, but it literally reminds me of Phoenix's Joker. It does. By the way, can't wait to see how they do that sequel, because the sequel did get a green light, by the way. It is going to happen. So I know some of you guys are pretty excited for it. Of course, if you're a little bit leery at the same time, I totally understand that as well. But yeah, their little crossover tonight, talking pretty much the match is set. Edge pushed the right buttons to make Rollins say, you're on. You want that match at SummerSlam? All right, I'll face you. It's on. Other than that, Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair having their little throwdown. Zelina Vega, though, trying to get that title shot opportunity that she was promised. Bianca, hey, you got it. You want your title shot, you can actually have it tonight. But upon talking to Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce, they're like, yeah, look, yeah, that's great that Bianca said she wants to do the match. That's great. You want to do the match, but that's not how it works. We still got to draw up the paperwork. So in the meantime, you can have a match with Bianca, but it's going to be tonight, non-title match. And it's kind of like, I need that same kind of energy for, you understand? You know exactly where I'm going with that, because it's like, wait a minute now. If we're going to be like that, I need that same energy for what went down with that whole contract signing, because that was, you can make an argument, kind of like a clusterfuck, so to speak. Jey Uso defeating Dominic, because it was Jey Uso taking on Dominic. Jey Uso had his brother Jimmy by his side. Dominic had his father by his side. Decent match. Shinsuke Nakamura took on Apollo Crews. Too short. Didn't really set anything up properly storyline wise, as far as I was concerned. Just kind of one of those, man, so what else you got? It's kind of like one of those type of deals. Tegan Nox took on Tamina. Again, another extremely short match of SmackDown tonight. Another short match. Way short. Way fucking short. Really don't even understand what was the point in this one. I mean, and when I say short matches, I mean, these things were like, I'd be shocked if these matches were 3 minutes, because it felt like it was a lot shorter than that. Let's see, what else? tag match. You know, there was one major highlight of the night, like if you even want to call it that, the tag match, Street Profits taking on Dolph Ziggler, Robert Roode. Um, you know, it had flashes of ooh, but again, this was another one of those short kind of matches. But at the same time, you were reminded, yeah, man, Street Profits, these boys, they hot, they can go. You know, these guys are fucking solid. I ultimately would like to see the Street Profits maybe take on the Mysterios or the Usos. You know, get let's go in that tag title picture. Let's fucking go there. Let's fucking go there. Bianca Belair taking on Zelina Vega. Bianca Belair picking up the dub. They didn't click for me. This match felt kind of spotty. A lot of spots in there where you're just kind of looking at the size difference. It's kind of something does not compute. You know, they didn't really gel well. They did not really gel well. There was a lot of the pacing. Pacing was really bad in this matchup, I would have to say. Pacing was really bad. Finn Balor taking on Baron Corbin. Pretty much you can almost say a squash match. Finn Balor picking up the dub. Yeah, just post-match, Balor grabs a microphone, says a few years ago, basically he's not the same kind of Balor that he once was before. He talks about how he wants to be the Universal Champion again. And if he's got to go through John Cena to do it, oh well, he's going to make it happen. From there, though, Roman comes out. And Roman pretty much just, you know, owns his ass and tells Balor straight up, remember to keep the head of the table's name out of your mouth. Tosses the mic at Balor. Balor shoves Roman out of the ring. And these guys pretty much were brawling. After that, Roman gets the one up on the ass whooping on Finn Balor. And I mean, that pretty much was it. So again, no John Cena tonight on this episode. And you guys got to forgive me because, you know, I wish I could be a lot more in regards to SmackDown. But, you know, at this point, I think it probably kicked in right about, let me look at those matches again. I want to say it kicked in maybe at about, bear with me. Let me just pull up my notes here. I want to say right at about potentially Knox taking on Tamina. Knox taking on Tamina, Street Profits, Ziggler, Rude is when everything started trickling in on the releases, and it was just kind of one. And a lot of us, including myself, I actually commented on social media. I was like, man, talk about a punch to the stomach. Like, you know, really hard to get back in the SmackDown because of some of these names. It was like, you know, kind of like one of those type of deals. Great seeing Sasha Banks back. Oh, I love the outfit she was wearing tonight. Sister was looking fine. Yes, she was. She was looking oh so fine. I'll buy you guys a little bit of time if there's anything particular you want to get into. We can definitely go there. Well, we still got a couple of minutes. So if you guys want to bring up something, you know, wrestling, non-wrestling related question, you can definitely go there. If you maybe would like to call into the show, you can definitely do that. Let me give you guys the phone number here. You got to work with me. I don't have the layout yet for, because remember, I'm using a different recording software. I didn't transfer the graphic over for the phone line. So hang on a second here. If I can find whatchamacall. There it is. Okay. So what I'm going to do in the chat, I'm going to post the phone number. And, you know, if you want to call in and you want to talk about some of the stuff that had went down with the releases, or you want to ask me a question, you can definitely do that. Or you want to sound off about SmackDown, you could definitely do that as well. Hang on. Okay. So the phone number to call And again, I'm putting this in the chat here. Chat. Call in. All right, so 202-769-1364. Again, 202-769-1364 for those of you that maybe want to call into the show. Again, you want to sound off about the releases, you could do that. You want to sound off about Smackdown, you could do that. You want to maybe ask me a wrestling related question, non-wrestling related question, you could definitely do that as well. And otherwise, you know, y'all good, y'all nice and filled up, we can definitely stick a fork in it and we can be done. I will give you guys some programming notes. Bear with me. There we go. Just had to make sure the phone was on vibrate so I could hear when you guys call in. So programming notes, we're going to be doing something for Patreon this weekend. New Wrestling with the Topics. So we're going to do that. And then otherwise, I'm going to be chilling for the rest of the weekend. Your next show will be on Monday. And I'm debating on whether or not we're actually going to do a show Monday. I've been kind of feeling a little bit burned out. And usually once every other month, I like to take a day or two off. So I've been at it strong since we came back from the vacation / honeymoon. So I'm a little bit on the fence right now about whether or not, you know, I think now's the time, right? Like if I'm going to do it, now's the time because we got SummerSlam that's going to be coming up. And then we've got the NWA weekend that's going to be coming up. So it's kind of one of those, okay, well, if I were to do it, like, where would I kind of do it? So we'll have to see. Oh, hey. All right. Hey, you're on. Who's this?
This is Stephen Harris caller from Houston, Texas.
Hey, Stephen, brother, how you been?
I've been good. I want to talk to you about SmackDown with Sasha Banks making her return.
Yeah, go ahead.
To challenge Bianca Belair for the SmackDown title because WWE, they ain't built a storyline like they were supposed to with those two. Because I think Sasha Banks, she was kind of pissed off that when she had lost that WWE SmackDown Championship at Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. Because in WWE, they going back building up this storyline between these two.
How you liking this so far? How you liking that so far?
It's pretty good though, because Bianca Belair, she done beat it Bayley twice at Head in the Cell. She done beat it even Selena Vega. And then if she beat Sasha Banks at SummerSlam, that means what do Sasha Banks go from here? And then so draft is going to be coming up October the 4th in the first, because maybe you can have Sasha Banks move over to Monday Night Raw because the women's division is there. They ain't got no help over there. And then so you can add Bayley over there, and then have Bianca Belair remain on SmackDown, and then have Drew McIntyre go to SmackDown, because moving into different brands still gonna be the same way.
Yeah.
And then can I talk to you about the WWE NXT releases?
Go
I
ahead.
looked up and heard about Bronson Reed being released and Mercedes Martinez being released because maybe I think they going to AEW, and because Tony Khan ain't gonna be able to sign everybody from WWE. He trying to keep his money budged, and then with it just sad because to see Mercedes Martinez got released because she's been out of action for going on 2 months. She's been out of action because Triple H though just can't force them to stay.
Right.
Because if they won't leave, they can leave because Adam Cole contract is coming up because you know he going right after SummerSlam he gonna be leaving the WWE going over to AEW because if he goes to AEW he's gonna be treated fairly over there because he have a lot of work over there to do. Mm-hmm. And then with Adam Cole, I don't see him going up to the WWE main roster because if he do, he's gonna fail if he goes to the WWE main roster. Mm-hmm. Because with Adam Cole, though, we see what WWE throws at him. Because in Pete Dunne, his contract expired too. Because Pete Dunne contract, since I've been watching NXT, they haven't done nothing with him. It's like they don't have no plans for him over there on NXT for him to do. Because if Pete Dunne stays with NXT, I'll be shocked if he don't leave to go to AEW over there. Mm-hmm. So with NXT releasing talent, I mean from WWE, maybe it's a budget, maybe it's a cut. A budget cut, and because SmackDown with Tamina, you know they giving her a single push because Natty gonna be out for a couple of weeks because with Natty knee heel back because who is gonna be the next one in line to take on Tamina in the tag because the only person who stepped it up is Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Knox because Knox was the one that got her win in her first single match tonight because I don't know where that storyline is gonna be headed because they don't have no tag teams over there on SmackDown for the WWE in WWE Tag Team Women's Championship. Mm-hmm. Because Monday Night Raw, that show it need a lot of help with the women's division.
Yeah, it does.
Over there. Because ever since they keep showing repeat after repeat match over and over on Monday Night Raw, they just ain't trying to change up the storyline over there on Monday Night Raw, and it is just the same thing after the same thing because you know Triple H though he creates talent over there in NXT, and then Vince McMahon though just kills it because you see how Keith Lee he beat Karrion Kross over on Monday Night Raw, and Karrion Kross beat him last week. The booking is 50-50. Between those two, and then WWE Keith Lee should be a bigger star in the company in the near future, what they need to be looking at, and then he should be getting WWE title shots in the company, and then that's what Keith Lee should be getting because anytime somebody come up the main roster, Vince he buries them. And then not trying to use them the same way like they was in NXT. Mm-hmm. So with Karrion Kross versus Samoan Joe at NXT TakeOver, Samoan Joe, I doubtly he's gonna win the NXT championship from Karrion Kross, and then he goes up to the WWE main roster after that because with Karrion Kross, that he look like he's gonna be getting screwed on main roster because look how they messed up his ring entrance. You don't need to much have this white Scarlet out there with him at ringside. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then with Monday Night Raw, I mean, it's just a bunch of people he can work with. I mean, he can work with Bobby Lashley. He can even work with, who else I can even think of my head? I mean, Cedric Alexander over there, Drew McIntyre, Judah Mahal. He can even work with. And then WWE,
Sheamus.
they just need a lot of help over there on Monday Night Raw.
He can work with Sheamus. That would be a slobber knocker.
Oh yeah, Sheamus.
Yeah.
And then either much Damian Priest.
Yes.
And so yeah, because with the women's division with the women's Rhea Ripley and Nia Jax, I mean they put on a good match, but Nia Jax was just busted from the eye,
Mm-hmm.
when blooded from the face, because you see Shayna Baszler almost costed costing her the match against Rhea Ripley, and then you see Shayna Baszler, them two sat on each other. Then you see Shayna Baszler walked off. I think WWE just should have broken them two right after WrestleMania. It ain't no reason for them to still be together as partners.
Right.
Because with Shayna Baszler is gonna go her separate way, because she just need to be competing for that Raw Women's Championship and just be a badass like she was in NXT.
Right. Right.
Because WWE, they haven't did that with her. But she was supposed to win the WWE Raw Women's Championship right after WrestleMania, but Vince McMahon either must say no, he didn't want that to happen. He ended up keeping the title on Becky Lynch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she retained it. But I mean, that's what WWE need to do, because you keep going to Charlotte back and forth. I mean, she started getting tired after title opportunity, and then fans, they hate it when she do, because she's 11-time Raw Women's Champion, and leave it to me, because if she leaves WWE and go to AEW with her dad, she would be using the name Ashley Flair over there in AEW.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think Vince McMahon gonna let her leave WWE.
Yeah.
Because she's in a contract with the company.
Right. Right.
Because with either much, it's but WWE, they ain't trying to build up WWE superstars proper way. Because it's just a mess in the company.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then SmackDown, either much with Sasha Banks coming out being a heel that she is, when she being a heel, she talks shit on a microphone. And then either much Sasha Banks either much talked about when she was gone away, either much saying that she seen Bronco Balor did wrong and all that such so because she's still pissed off because Bianca Belair used a ponytail at WrestleMania and she lost the SmackDown Women's Championship, and then so now Sasha Banks she is a heel, and then now WWE went back and build up this storyline like they did at WrestleMania, and then with Bianca Belair comes out and say, when I get in the ring though, me and you we gonna fight, but she dropped the pipe bomb. Mm-hmm. So you see Selena Vega, she comes out and you must say, look at me when I'm even much talking to you.
Right.
And so you know that Selena Vega versus Bianca Belair. I looked at this match, like I know Selena Vega don't win, because I just want to see a one-on-one Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks one more time, and then they're gonna tear down the house like they did at WrestleMania. And if Bianca Belair retains, that means that who's gonna be the next champion? You got Toni Storm over there. You either match got Sausage Blackheart and Tegan Knox. And you the much got Tamina right now, though. She locked into a tag team title this. She don't have Natalya with her shoes out for a couple of months, so she got to go on in these single matches.
Right, right.
So when Naomi gets back, maybe she be the one that takes the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship off of her because she has not been seen on television ever since they moved her from Monday Night Raw to SmackDown.
Right. Steven, on that note, let's pause right there because that's a lot of info that you gave me. I can unpack all of that because I want to just hit on some of the points that you made and try to see if we can get a couple of more calls in. Steven, I appreciate you as always. Be well, my friend, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you. Steven, longtime RCWR show listener. We'll always make time for Steven. I want to hit on some of the points Steven had brought up. So if you guys can just indulge me, just give me like about 4 minutes tops because there's some very interesting points he brought up. I may have an idea on where possibly WWE could go, or at least present a couple of ideas where WWE could go. All right, so just give me about 4 minutes here, and then we'll open back up the phone lines again. In regards to the Natty situation, as we know, Natty's going to be out for a couple of more weeks. And remember what I said to you guys initially. I said, depending on if there was a sprain or a tear, we could be looking at anywhere from 6 weeks to maybe about 9 weeks. And so it's kind of one of those ordeals where is WWE really going to afford Natty and Tamina that luxury where they're not defending those titles for that significant period of time, or are they going to keep it moving along and ultimately crown some new champions? Because I think ultimately it's a very delicate position here because you can definitely go in one direction where, hey, it's been X amount of time since the titles have been defended. Either the titles are defended or we got to strip you of the titles. Then it becomes a question of, okay, so what exactly is going to happen here? If you ask me straight up, what I ultimately would love to see happen, it's quite simple. It's something that Tamina and Nia Jax have wanted for a long time. They've always wanted to be able to team up together. They've always, kind of one of their cool dreams was to be tag champions together, believe it or not. So I can't help but wonder, okay, well, you know what? What if on an interim basis until Natty gets back, right when it looks as though there's going to be a stripping of those tag titles, I could just see it. It's perfectly crystal clear where Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville, they're laying it in heavy on Tamina and saying, hey, look, we feel where you're coming from. Hey, it's unfortunate what's going on with Natty, but we got a responsibility. Those titles need to be represented. Yada, 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 yada. Surprise tag partner turns out to be Nia Jax. Boom. There you go. Tamina, Nia. And not for nothing, but you look at what's currently going on with Nia and Shayna Baszler. You kind of got to factor that in because by all accounts, it's looking as though those girls are getting ready to, separate, do their own thing and all that. So you can kind of have that going on in the back of your mind. Remember, we got the rumblings that the draft isn't supposed to be happening until October. Do you really? I don't think Natty's going to be out that long. I think, honestly, yeah, I kind of get the impression Natty's going to be back sometime mid-September, maybe almost late September is when she's going to be back. And I think WWE can honestly, they can give them that time. They can give them that necessary time frame. Now, there's something else that Steven had touched upon that I just kind of want to reiterate on again here. Yeah, I mean, I'm not that convinced right now that Bianca Belair is going to lose the championship at SummerSlam. I'm not convinced of that right now. I kind of feel as though as far as the next woman up, I think it's going to really come in the form of Toni Storm. I don't really see Zelina Vega continuing to be now I think eventually she's going to kind of just go down a tier or two, but it's really all about, okay, so who are we going to try to, bring up here? Look, make no mistake about it. I feel that Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks, even after SummerSlam, I really feel as though they're going to continue to go at it. I would not be surprised if the pay-per-view after SummerSlam, Sasha Banks gets that title and Bianca tries to chase after her for it. And then maybe in the process, something goes down there where, who knows, maybe Carmella, Bianca reignited. Something's going to just kind of sideline her a little bit. And depending on what happens there with Toni Storm and how well received she is with the live crowds could really be an interesting determining factor in seeing whether or not she's going to get elevated. She's maybe going to get propelled to, that next level where maybe ultimately she would be one that would chase after Sasha Banks for the championship. So that's kind of something to think about with that. It really does kind of feel like Samoa Joe is probably a lock-in for the championship. We'll have to wait and see. Stranger things have definitely happened. And you see why we're getting what we're getting now. A lot of people, fuck Nick Khan, but if you really take a step back, and you really look at it, between Raw and SmackDown and NXT, really stop and think about it, to the point, oh man, we don't have enough women on SmackDown or on WWE, on the main flagship shows. We don't have enough women. Well, that's why you got Tegan Nox over there. That's why you got Shotzi Blackheart over there, right? And you just know it's probably going to be a matter of time before a girl like Taya Valkyrie or Frankie Monet, it's just going to be a matter of time before she goes on over to the main shows. It's just a matter of time. Then you look on over to the Raw side of things. Raw's hurting right now. I know a lot of people are going, oh, Becky, she needs to be with Seth, and I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that happen. Becky will stay on Raw. She will stay on Raw. Raw needs all the firepower that it can get. All the firepower that it can get. And Raw is screaming Becky. They need Becky. Remember here. All of this craziness, the lack of depth for the women's roster. Let's not forget, Lacey Evans, hey, everybody's got sexual needs. You get pregnant in the process, it comes with the territory, right? Right? So you think about what's going on there with Lacey Evans and how she was being built up and everything, and now just yoink. So much for respectfully building that person up, right? So much for building that person up. It's a little bit unfortunate. It is what it is, right? But yeah, I honestly feel that WWE, as we get closer to this draft, I really feel as though they're going to go to the well quite a few times there and trying to get help to really balance things out as far as that women's side of things go. Now, if you were to ask me straight up, okay, well, just kind of looking at the roster everywhere right now, where do you see things kind of happening for a couple of more of these girls that could possibly come up on the roster and everything? I'm not gonna say which show so and so needs to be on, but as far as the names that jump out to me that I could see, okay, you know what? Let's do something with her on one of the shows. I could definitely see either Xia Li or Io Shirai getting the call up, but not both. Not both. I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing both of them just up and I'm not seeing that. I could definitely see something coming about there with Zoe Stark. Zoe Stark is definitely someone else I could see. For sure, she's a wild card. But I wouldn't be surprised if Candice LeRae actually had got a call up. I would not be surprised if that were to maybe happen. Indy Hartwell, I think Indy Hartwell has a phenomenal look about her, a very exotic look about her. She's pretty solid in the ring as well. I definitely feel she can, definitely go some places. She would definitely help out a tongue there with the women's roster for Raw or SmackDown. And you just know Raquel Gonzalez. I mean, that is just an absolute, that's just patiently waiting, right? That is just patiently waiting to see. One name I'm not really sure of, Amber Moon. What happens with Amber Moon there? Me personally, I think you put Amber Moon on SmackDown. Don't have her go back to Raw. If you put her on Raw, it's purgatory all over again, quite honestly. So, just some stuff to kind of think about there, Let's do this. If you guys want, we can definitely take one or two more calls. So, if you want to call in, you want to talk about some of these releases that had came down, maybe you want to, talk a little bit about SmackDown, or you got a question, you want to pick my brain on something wrestling related or whatnot, you can definitely call in. Number to call still posted there in the chat, 202-769-1364. Told you I wasn't going to be that long tackling just some of those points there. There was a lot to unpack. I'm finding as I get older, I got to be on top of whatever information is being given to me, because the more information that's being unloaded on me, the odds that some of it will slip my memory. I used to be able to you could tell me something for like about 20 minutes straight and then quiz me, and I was very good at telling you every single thing you told me within those 20 minutes. Now, out of 100%, I'm probably at about 75% now. Yeah. It comes with the age. But 202-769-1364 if you guys want to call in. Other than that, other than those releases that had came about, really nothing else has gone down. So, kind of been relatively quiet. We already talked about NWA earlier. So we're good from that standpoint. Let's see, what else? I'm just looking at the chat. I'm looking at the chat, seeing what you guys are saying in the chat here. And I would imagine that going into the weekend, definitely for sure going into next week, this is going to be a very hot topic as far as the releases that had came about, and just trying to understand more information. Because I know a lot of people, they're not going to be satisfied. A lot of the things that I said here tonight, even though it makes a lot of sense, I know it's not going to suffice with most people, and a lot of people are going to be wanting more information. They want to know, what really happened, what's going on here. And even at that, even when you definitively get the answers to those questions, you still may not like the answers that you get. But let me tell you something. I know right now Nick Khan is being looked at as public enemy number one. He's got that bullseye on his back, and there is just so much venom that is coming his way. Vince McMahon and them have pretty much said, yeah, this is the motherfucker, right? They pretty much, and, but it's almost kind of like one of those type of deals where, hey, he knows what the fuck he's doing. We dare not really want to, mess with him, but at the same time, to quote one of my favorite lines from 1992's Malcolm X, that's too much power for one man. Do you reel it back a bit? I mean, you notice since the last time we had talked about the last batch of releases that came about, you notice how I put out there for you guys, look for these reporters to mention anything along the lines of, okay, this hand is communicating with this hand, and there's definitely an agreement. There's no clashing whatsoever. There's talk about reducing Nick Khan's power. I told you guys to look for stuff like that. Pay very close attention to stuff like that to see if it comes into existence. And so far, it's not. And I don't know if that might be a case where some of these folks that are able to get in on these conference calls and they're able to sound off and you know, pick these guys' brains on stuff. I don't know if they're so intimidated to the point that's a boat they don't want to rock, because they don't want to lose their media credentials when it comes to doing these little conference calls and meetings and via Zoom and all that other shit, you know. But it's definitely kind of one of those questions that, you know, you really need to ask yourself and just, you know, yeah, is everybody truly on board, you know, with this? Because not for nothing, we've seen, you know, just when we thought Amber Moon was pretty much done, we've seen her pretty much go back in through the back door, or in through the outdoor, quote one of my favorite albums. You know, we've seen Samoa Joe pretty much go through the back door of NXT. We've seen Breezango go through the back door. We've seen Drake Maverick go through the back door. You feel where I'm coming from? We already mentioned Samoa Joe, the back door. There's so many people that have gone through that back door again. You just can't help but wonder, yeah, is it, you know, or is everybody on the same page here? Because it really feels truly right. I'm down with trimming the fat. Don't get me wrong. I'm down with that. Hey, we got all these people and this is all unnecessary. We don't need too many cooks in the kitchen. I'm down with that. But man, if I've got Wolfgang Puck, I've got the Louisiana man, you know, ooh, that gonna taste so damn good, I guarantee. You know, I got him. I've got fucking Emerald. Bam, bam, bam. You know, I got all these, you know, big, well-known names for cooks, right? It's like, do I really need all of these guys, or can I just get away with like 3? You feel where I'm coming from? So kind of weird what's been going on. Very, very weird what's been going on. But it's going to have a lot of people talking going into the weekend, for sure. So I think on that note, I'm seeing how long we've been on the air, minus the music. You guys got about a 2-hour, 30-minute show. I say let's stick a fork in it. Let's call it DONE, done. I'm really happy we ended up doing this show for you guys, because I got to tell you guys, going into tonight, originally, I wasn't even going to do this show. You know, I was not going to do the show. I know I had put a poll out, but I wasn't, my mind was like kind of made up that, you know what, I'm not going to do a show, especially as I was watching Smackdown. It was very lackluster. But then the releases came about, and it was just kind of, what? And, you know, so it was nice that we were able to come on here, you know, and talk about these releases that came about, and try to make sense out of this craziness that was going on. And look, at least we did talk a little bit about Smackdown. You notice we didn't do a full-blown, you know, recap of Smackdown. I think when you had an episode tonight that was so lackluster, right, and most people want to know what was going on with the releases. However, I will definitely put some timestamps in here so people that just want to hear the talk of Smackdown will be able to get that. And then the releases, you know, I'll definitely put the timestamps in there for the releases. One more time, especially you made it up to this point in the show. Appreciate you guys tuned in live. Appreciate all of you guys. Also, man, shout out to friends of the show. You guys know exactly who you are. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that like button. You do that, helps out a ton. Puts more eyeballs on the product. You can get at me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. And yeah, let me know, for those of you that's going to be checking this out on demand and on the downloads, let me know on social media. Get at me. Let me know what you had thought about the releases, some of the points that I had brought up during the show, you know, whether or not you agree, whatnot. I'm most curious. I do a pretty good job reacting to any comments that I see, because I usually will like or I'll heart it. You know, I'll definitely acknowledge you, right? Acknowledge me. I'll even, if it's on point, you know, you really get me like, I will even comment. But for the most part, my way of letting you know I did read your shit, I always like and I heart, and I even pin just to let you know I read your shit. So again, appreciate you guys. Much love as always. And unless you have other plans, have a fantastic weekend. Patreon members, I'll catch you guys over the weekend. Everybody else, I'll catch you guys this Monday as your next edition of the RCWR show will be on August 9th. And until next go around, wishing all y'all to be safe and most importantly, be kind to one another. I will see you guys next go around. Adios, y'all. Peace.